little baby.
Welcome to Conversations with Chai. I'm your host, Ram Chodri, aka Little Baby Ram Ram, and today I have a host of my first kicks, my Bengali brother. I got with me Has.
Welcome. Yeah, why am I saying welcome? This is like I'm so used to hosting my own podcast that my bad. I was like literally, you know what's so funny? I was literally like, make sure you're not in host mode. Make sure you're not in host mode. And then no.
So I've done other pods, and I kind of prefer that because you don't have to be in host mode.
Yeah.
And you can kind of just like sit in a pocket and kind of enjoy it. Have you, like, what do you feel like? Do you feel like
it's tough? Because I do feel like whenever I'm in a conversation, I do feel like I overpower it because of that, of like, I'm trying to get you to talk to me more.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking as much as I should be because I'm supposed to be talking about myself. You know?
That's so funny that you say that, because I'm trying to be a lot more cognizant of that, because I'm like, if me and you are even kicking it off of a podcast, you know what I mean? Like we're just riffing, right?
Yeah.
And like the way that my ADHD works, it sometimes overpowers, right? But to kind of start off, like I want to give my audience like a preview of you, right? But kind of walk us through what is My First Kicks.
Yeah, so basically, I've been a long time sneaker collector, and I always felt like at one point, especially during 2020, conversations were just dying out in terms of sneakers. It's always just like, oh yeah, this is whack. This is like, there's no real conversation of like what a sneaker means to you. So when in 2020, I decided to start this podcast called My First Kicks, and now I've evolved beyond that because I was asking way too literal questions, but now it's more of just like a conversation where I bring on a guest, I ask them like, what's that first pair they absolutely need to have? And then I use that as a through line to learn more about that person. And it's just had some crazy guests on, like people have been really digging it. But I'm using it as a way to show that sneakers is something that connects all of us. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, you're not down with sneaker culture or something like that. Like I do love having guests like that are on there, but like I want to talk to everybody,
I think that's why I wanted to have the conversation too, because I look at sneakers and, as an extension of like hip hop culture, as a way that I assimilated in this country, right? And I think that's probably true for a lot of immigrants, children of immigrants, right?
Yeah.
Like using that as a way to connect back with a culture that you have no real connection to, right? And the cool thing about like hip hop and like sneaker culture, right, is like it's pretty inclusive of everybody and welcoming of everybody. And that's kind of how like a lot of, I feel like, connected, right? Like talking about kicks, talking about music, right? And that's how I feel like I like connected to most of my friends when I was like in elementary, middle school. So that's why like I really wanted to have this conversation, right? Because I was like, wait, and I would be remiss to not ask you, so what was your first kick?
It's funny because every time I'm on a podcast, they switch the question onto me. So I've been given this story a lot because last year I lost my best friend, my childhood best friend. Like I'm an only child, so he's basically my brother. And last year I lost him. And during when I was younger, he was gifted for Christmas the Jordan 14s. That's the white and black Chicago pair, and please look it up if you haven't. And so that I was begging my mom, please, I need to have Jordans. And he got those, and I'm thinking like, all right, I'm begging, like I'm gonna get them. Yes, we're gonna get Jordans for Christmas, right? Christmas rolls around the next year. My mom goes and she goes to Modell's and it's just like with my aunt, and they're like, hey, we want to get my nephew, my son, Jordans. Can you give me the best Jordans that you have now? Me, I'm thinking like, yo, I'm about to get some fire. No, I opened that box on Christmas morning, and it was the Jordan 15s, and they're like, they got like quilts, like there's like, oh man, those are some, like when I was younger, I didn't understand it. Like it's like you were waiting to get the WWF action figure of like, your favorite wrestler, and then your parents bring you like the 99-cent store. But it's like not even 99 cents. They give you a WCW figure instead. That's what it felt like. And you're just there like, yo, damn it, I really missed out on what I was supposed to get. And then, but I didn't really understand that. And what it really unleashed within me was like, oh, okay, I do love sneakers. I'm a Knicks fan. Like I love Jordan, but I only like Jordan. But I'm a bit diehard Knicks fan. And so this was like my only lap, like inter piece where I was just like, all right, cool. I'm down with the cool kids now because I got a pair of Jordans. I was wrong because they were like, what the hell are those? Like I've never seen those before. But yeah, that's my first kicks.
It's funny. So like trying to understand it as somebody who wasn't like really into it, and then trying to then explain it to my parents as to why I needed the specific kicks that I needed. Like I couldn't explain to them, like, because to them it's like, yo, like if you're somebody who's not from sneaker culture or just like straight up like an immigrant here, you're thinking like, yo, $120 for a pair of shoes is insane. Shoot, but then I got to tell you it's not just that it's $120. It's got to be $120 and a specific version of that shoe, right? Like it doesn't matter that you spend $100 on it. If it's not the right, if it's not the one, it doesn't really do anything for me, mom. So it's interesting. Like it got me thinking like, yo, what were my first kicks, right? Because I definitely had, shoes on my feet ahead of time, right? But I'm thinking when I'm thinking like my first kicks, right? The ones that I had to go beg for and ask for. I remember the first trade, these like Nike SB Dunk lows, right? Black with like a purple swoosh. Like I was like trying to find a picture so bad, right? I remember my boy was trying to flip them, and then he's like, yo, do you just want them? Got them for like $60.
You sure the SBs?
SBs?
You sure?
Maybe.
I think they might be 6.0s, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, because like there was never a, unless you're thinking about the purple Avengers.
Your sneaker knowledge is definitely more extensive than mine. I mean, for sure.
Mine's crazy. But like SBs, I'm a diehard SB person.
Oh yeah.
So I know everything about SBs. So like SBs, there's a black. My bad for cutting you.
No.
Black. Just so you know, Avengers. There was two pairs. There was one patent leather toe box, purple. I mean black with the purple and like lines, and there was like lines on it.
Yes.
Yeah. So you got Avengers.
Okay.
Yeah, purple Avengers.
Purple Avengers. So like those are the first ones that I like traded for, right? Like my boy had it. Was like, yo, like, do you want it? Bought them off of him. And then the first one that my parents got me, metallic Jordan. I want to say, I'm like forgetting the silhouette. Metallic, either 21 or 22. Not one of the ones that you would want.
Jesus, 21, 22.
Yeah, 21 or 22, right? And I remember I took him to Bangladesh and I like fucked him up.
Oh my God.
Fucked him up. And then my parents were like, yeah, we're not doing this for you again, right? It's funny though, like, because when I eventually graduated, got a job, I went and got all the shoes that I wanted.
That's where you catch up, man.
It's interesting that you said that you launched it because you felt like sneaker culture was kind of quieting around that 2020 phase, right? And as like somebody who's like a casual, I noticed that too a little bit. Like I remember when I was younger, right? Like you remember all the drops, right? Like you remember like the Concords being a thing, right? You remember the Cool Grays being a thing. You remember the Breads being a thing. But now I don't know if it's because of the frequency of drops or resell culture.
I definitely think it's more resell. A lot of the heart of it, which I think now it's been changing a lot, like 2025, like 2024, 2025, a lot of the stores, and there's been a lot of community, especially in New York. Like you can go to events and stuff like that now. But like in 2020, 2019, even a little bit before that, I feel like resell was really taking off where, people were just looking to sneakers just to get to the next thing. And so a lot of the conversations that we used to have where I'd be like outside and it'd be like, yo, what's good? Like, yo, this sneaker, what do you think about this sneaker? And then it would unlock a ton of stuff in your back of your head. You'd be like, yo, and I remember when these came out, and this came out, and this, and then you'd get stories. Oh, yo, I was online and this and that. And a lot of that just went out the window because in 2020, we're in the house. Then brands were like, yo, we can just sell it directly to people. You don't got to go to a Foot Locker to get these now. And so they were starting to get this big disconnect of people thinking that like, oh, I just got to be in the house and I can get whatever I want now. Or like, I can go on a StockX and I can get a sneaker from when I was in high school and I only have to pay $500 or something like that. So it takes a lot of the in between of like what really build relationships or where you can go to like a sneaker con back in the day and have this like haggling to try to get you, you're only in there with $200 and you're trying to like, yo, let me see how I can walk out of here with 4 pairs of sneakers that I really, really want. Or let me see if I can buy this pair, then move this pair at another table. Like, you know, but everybody has the same pairs of sneakers now. And there's a lot of just like, you know, my biggest problem now is that how do you, you know, capitalize on somebody that doesn't have the affinity for something that you used to have. And it's like we're losing a lot of the stories that people are attached to that you can sell that item to for a little bit more. So that's in terms of resale. And for me, when I think about sell it to somebody a little bit more, it's like, how do I sell somebody else's story to somebody else? Because if I'm looking at a sneaker, if I'm looking at this sneaker, I waited like 4 years to actually put these on, right? So that I can have a story of when I put them on. Like I put them on for one of my guests who episode recently passed, and he no-showed me on that episode. And so I had to wear these. I wore these on my first ever solo episode. So now that's the story behind this shoe. But like, not everybody's gonna have that. Some people just want to buy a pair of sneakers and just be like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna get this fit off, you know?
That's interesting because I think when we talk about like what is sneaker culture today, right? Like I would say like 80% to me is like hype, right? It's not like, yo, like there's a true affinity for the shoe. It's hey, we know that it's hard to get or it's at a certain price point, and that's why they want the shoe.
I wouldn't say that's part of sneaker culture. I just think that's just hype. I think that's hype with anything, right? Like for example, I mean, I'm big into comic books or like big into anime, something like that. Like there's figures that are going for like $700 because people are like, all right, I just gotta wait. Everybody's watching this right now. Everybody's watching My Hero right now. I can sell this for like whatever. Or, the new Fantastic Four. If I have the first Fantastic Four, now I can sell that for like, hype is always going to be part of anything. When it comes to sneaker culture though, I think that's where people like from the outside, right? If you look at it like that, like you can be like, oh yeah, he's wearing the hyper stuff. But then when you talk to somebody that's within sneaker culture, it's like, I'm not going to wear that. That's mad hype. So it's like, how do you convey that correctly to somebody from the outside, like somebody outside of it?
Interesting. That is, I guess, like a real fair representation of who the resellers are truly selling to, right? Because the resellers are really selling it to that guy who wanted it on the sneakers app just because it is hype.
Yeah.
And not necessarily somebody who's like within sneaker culture and like wants like a real piece to it, right?
Exactly. Like where it's like, you know, you're not gonna be like, yo, I'm gonna cut you a deal, you know, because I heard, you know, this was the first pair of sneakers your mom bought you. Like nobody's gonna do that. Yeah. Or like nobody's gonna be like, yo, I remember, I heard you posted on Instagram that, you know, you went to high school in these, so I'm gonna sell you these for retail. Like, no, the resellers are just like, yo, this is the hottest shoe right now. I want to make my $500 or $50. Yo, resell, like a lot of people, you know, shit on them. I don't know if I could curse on here.
Yeah.
All right. So a lot of people shit on resellers. All right. But it's a job at the end of the day. And it's like, the thing is, you know, they can only capitalize for this small amount of window. Right. But then you also have other people, which I would say is what we look at as like the main people that get all the love, or like, you know, they get the admirations online, and like the Flight Club, or like the people that are just selling nothing but like Freddy Krueger dunks or something like that, or like Ben and Jerry dunks, like stuff for only for thousands and thousands of dollars. But we're not thinking about the people that are like outside here in front of like Stadium Goods down the block, or coming to StockX over here and being like, yo, I got these 6 pairs of sneakers. I'm just trying to get at least a couple much more dollars. Like there's so much a big gap of how resell is perceived, because some people think that if you're just a reseller that you have no skin in this game, or you're just trying to make a ton of money. But resell and buy, sell, trade will always be part of sneaker culture, because if I didn't get to, for example, if I didn't trade a pair of sneakers for the sneaker that I want, or if I didn't buy a pair of sneakers that I thought somebody else would want, sell it for an extra $20 or whatever, then use that money to get the sneaker that I did want, then where am I going to be? I'm going to be nowhere. Like, you know?
I hear you. I think it's the artificial jacking up of sneaker prices, knowing that there's a resale market, right? Like the VPN at Nike that's giving his kid like 10,000 of like the first initial like press of the shoe, right? Because he knows that his kid could flip it for 50% more on a markup, right? And that to me is like but I guess that did happen back in the day too. If you had a real relationship with a store, right? They're gonna hit you before it actually go out and be like, yo, you can pick this up right now.
That's what I'm saying. Resell gets a lot of this like weird, like there's so many gray areas between it that like if you actually talk to a reseller, you'd be like, all right, that's not that bad. But like resell, like for example, what you just said, it's shout out to Jake, whatever. That was the biggest scam I've seen in the hot minute.
Yeah.
You know, but what happened was the VP would she had like an Excel sheets of stock that didn't sell at other stores. So he would buy that at wholesale. Like he would pretend to be a wholesaler, then make money off that in his Discord group, right? That's a fucking Ponzi scheme, basically, right? But that shit was smart as hell. But it's just bad for the VP because she lost her job. But if the real finesse is if you become friends with somebody or become friends with a manager, they have stock that's been sitting, which is basically the same method. Have stock that's just been sitting, and they're like, yo, we'll let you buy all the sizes, you know, $20 off, whatever, just so you can get this off so that we can hit our margins. And then when the real shit comes in, we got you. Like that's, you know, when the fucking hype shit comes in, then we got you. Like what that kid did was skip the whole process of being like, I'm gonna buy all the dead stock and then I'm gonna get you your shit. Like all he did was like, oh, I'm gonna just get all the stuff that's sitting, all the hot shit that's sitting in like Schenectady, New York, or like, you know, random ass Wyoming. Like that is where he was coming up, and that's the biggest difference of like. But that's like all's real selling. But that's what I'm saying. It's like it's such a wide range
of things. So in terms of like drops, right? Because like I feel like culture is at a place where we are nostalgizing a lot of 2000s culture and trying to bring it back.
Oh yeah.
I'm not seeing any new drops that I'm paying attention to, but in 2025, 2026, are there any drops that you are keeping an eye out?
Yeah. I mean, well, this year I try to keep it down to 6 pairs this year.
Okay.
And I already wasted 4 of them. Not wasted. I already copped 4 pairs of sneakers. But
how deep is your sneaker collection before we start? Like how many, like just shoot a number, ballpark.
I haven't counted in a while. Last time I counted was at 206.
206?
Yeah.
All like wearable?
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
I wear everything. And then I think I've gotten, because I didn't sell anything recently, I'm probably at like close to 250 maybe, something like that. And I got another pair coming this week. And then I'm definitely gonna try to get the undefeated 4s. That's on my list. The Nike SB 95s. On my list. J-Tip Saucony Omni Saucony Triumph 4s. And then there's definitely a bunch more that I'm like, I don't want to think about it because I
will pull the trigger.
Yeah, I gotta save money. Like there's recently the Rare Air Force came out, right? And I was like, I really, really want these. And I'm like, all right, do I just pull the trigger now or just wait? Because now there's so many sneakers coming out every year that it is hard to keep up with what to be like up on it, you know, like to get these fits off or whatever, like there's people that really put in that intention to be like, yeah, I got to get every drop every week. And that's unsustainable to me with a job and living in New York. So I try to be super intentional. And so Rare Air Force drop, but I got gifted by JD Sports. Shout out to my people at JD Sports. They sent me for my birthday, they sent me the Rare Air 3s. And I was like, all right, like I'm not going to get the 4s now if I already got the 3s. And I was just like, all right, yeah.
What is your decision on a shoe? Like, what is your, like, obviously the ones that you listed, right? Is it like a rarity thing? Is it like you just fuck with the visual? Is it like, what is your, like, hey, I want to buy this sneaker, right? Because like, I thought about like the ones that like, after I graduated, which ones I went back and got.
Yeah.
And it really was from a place of like, oh, I couldn't have these back then. Fuck you. I'm going to go get them now.
Yeah.
Like that's like most of my current sneaker collection.
It should be though.
Most of my current sneaker collection was like, yo, I couldn't afford this back then.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just like, fuck it. Like I have at least 5 pairs of just ones, just because like that's the silhouette that I always wanted, never could get, never could afford, right? Yeah. So as soon as I graduated, must have gotten like 3 pairs, like first 6 months of having money.
Yeah.
But like, what is your, like, if you're looking at a sneaker and being like, yo, am I buying this? Am I not? What does that decision look like?
It's usually material. It's always material for me. If I think the materials look good, and then colorway, but I'm very like, I'm heavy on blue. Like if the shoe has blue in it, I'm already like, you already got me halfway moving forward on the shoe. And then if it's like suede, count me, you're already, now you're moving the goalpost a little bit closer. Then if it's got some 3M on it, yeah, I'm in on that, because it's just like, these are things that make me stand out, even though you can't wear suede in the rain or whatever. But like, those are always the 3 things that whenever I saw it on a shoe, they just pulled me in immediately. And I'm just like, yeah, let me get that. But I just think I don't know. It's just, there's something that is just like, I've heard other people say it, and it's like, oh, when I look at a shoe, I already got at least 4 fits in the back of my head. That's gonna, like, that's where I want, or that's why I want it. And for me, it's always just been like, if I look at it and it just hits me a certain way, and I'm just like, I'm like, all right, I'll pay for that. Like, that's just, I don't know how to explain it, because like, I'm so used to going into stores and holding the shoe in my hand, and now we have to be like, all right, make this fast judgment without doing any of that with pictures online. And so that makes it a little bit difficult, because and it's funny because I recently, I literally tweeted this today too, because I was just like, I hate unboxing videos. I find them I find them so stupid. I find, like, to me, it's the same thing with like watching somebody play a video game. Like, I was never that kid that could be like sitting next to somebody and be like, yeah, run the game. Hell no, man. Give me the controller. I'm playing the game.
It's like, yo, I'm really about to get the dopamine of you opening the shoe that I want. Like, no, I want to open the fucking shoe because I own it, right?
Yeah. Like, so I tweeted that too, and I was just like, all right. And then during 2020, we all had money, whatever. I was just like, all right, let me try to make some unboxing style that's like, oh, yo, look, I got a fucking shoe, blah, blah, blah. And I tried to do that, and I was like, man, this shit sucks. So it made me hate the original unboxing videos, because I'm like, why would I want to experience something that I should be experiencing myself? And now we live in a world that we don't know if I'm going to be able to experience that, because that shoe might sell out. And now I'm like, why am I watching somebody else have fun for me? Like, hell fucking no. I want to touch that shit.
Especially because, like, when I think about it, that is like a big part of the thrill of sneakers.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it really is that, like, I'm not saying, like, listen, like, buying things and being attached to materials is one thing, right? But like, it is a part of it, right? Just same way, like, when you're depressed, right, and like, you buy something and they make you feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
Why short? If that is the reason, if that is going to bring you happiness, why short yourself of that, right? And like, the max version of that is like, yo, something that you truly desire, hard to get, and you get your hands on it.
Yeah.
Like, of course you're gonna be happy with it.
That's the thrill of the hunt. That's the journey. That's what keeps people coming back. Like, that's the drug, because you're just like, all right, yo, I saved this money. Or even if like a shoe is coming out and you're like, yo, I can't wait. Oh, it's at the store. I can go get it now. Like, that, man, that's a feeling that I feel like people try to replace it, but it's like, it never does fully get replaced. I just don't understand it. I don't know where I do know where. YouTube really killed a lot of like experiences, in my opinion. Like, I have this thing, I've been trying to like ruminate or like come up with this idea of something that for the podcast, that was just like, I'm kind of tired of like reviews and like, because reviews, unboxings, like, these are lived experiences, and we're shortchanging ourselves by putting it on just video, or like putting it on YouTube and watching it and be like, all right, cool, now I got it. It's less like, what are we doing? We're not living anymore.
It's like post late stage capitalism. I was thinking about that watching Fantastic Four this weekend, right? I was watching it and I was like, yo, this is a true piece of art, right? Like, everything down from like stylistically, the story, right? And I'm like, I want to say like 50% of people are not going to watch it based off of a TikTok recap of it, or B, somebody's review of it.
Yeah.
and they're just never going to get into the theater, into a seat and watch it. And I know that for a fact because I can tell based off of how many people watch amazing films on like their like 15-inch MacBook or their phone, right? I'm like, this is not how this was supposed to be delivered to you. So of course you're not going to think it's as great as me, right? Like I watched this shit and like Sinners was a perfect example. Watch that shit opening weekend, IMAX, 14, whatever the millimeters were, right? And I'm like, this is how it was meant to be consumed, right? And that is a testament to the art. And I think like sneakers, podcasts, right? All of that is true, right? Like it hurts me every time I see incredible podcasters have to consistently work with like short form clips. Because I know as somebody who's a fan of the art form, I know how much we care about like the long conversation of it, right? And the details of that conversation. And meanwhile, I'm trying to give you an hour talk in a 30-second to a minute clip because it's good for my monetary
algorithm.
And it's so frustrating.
Man, I mean, can we talk about that?
Of course.
So I was having a conversation about this too, because like I like talking shop with other podcasters and just to kind of figure out where people are thinking, because we know what we see what the method is, right? Unless you're a fucking white comedian that you get the rub from Joe Rogan or something like that, it's really hard to be like, yo, let's go crazy, you know? Like, and like the clipping is. I'm trying to make it so it's more substantial, like a piece. I'm still giving you something to try to like be like, okay, let me go check out the episode. But man, this clipping shit is ridiculous, yo.
The way that I'm choosing to think about it now, and like shout out to Wolf who always says this too, right? Which is the clipping meta is something that me and you are gonna have a real hard time competing in, just because of how much clipping and infrastructure for clipping exists and how expensive it is for a startup. Right? Like when you think about like when you hear the numbers that Neon, Nelk Boys, like FaZe are all paying their clippers, you start realizing like, yo, they're getting every week, me and you maybe get like at most through our pod are probably producing like 6 to 8 shots on goal, right? Trying to play the clipping meta. They're producing maybe 500 a week.
That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Like based off of like other distribution accounts, clippers that they're paying, clippers that are choosing to clip them because their shit gets clicks, right? So the countermeasure to that I think I'm intentionally going to take is that I now only care about delivering the highest quality content to my audience, right? Like if it's 500 people, but the same 500 people and they just tuned in because they love every single thing that I produce, that to me is probably a better win than 500,000 or 1 million on a random clip that just go because I clipped it up 8 types of ways to get it to be like this, right? That is, I think, like the countermeasure because, and I think like there are people that I see doing that on a pretty high level, right? Like when I think about like Joe Budden, right? Joe's not really clip maxing like that.
No, he's not. No.
Right? Like his content, like other people are clipping his shit because it's quality.
Right.
But he's not, he might for each episode drop like a clip, right? For each Patreon, right? Like he probably has a clip a day. But he's not like just flooding the streets with like 500 pieces of content a week. He's getting that through other people doing it. And I think like to me, like obviously Joe's like numbers just dropped for like Patreon and there's a whole New York Times article and that whole thing, right? And it shows you like if you have a real relationship with your end consumer, there is a different model that I think exists for podcasters.
I think one thing I told myself really early on too, it was just like, don't look at the numbers, but also look at the impact. Like, and buying into my impact that I've had, the small, even the small impact that I've had in sneaker culture, like it has been so much more rewarding. Like I've gotten opportunities to go to Cincinnati and like drop us like break a shoe. I've gotten like to interview some really cool people, and you know, I don't necessarily. I think it's like it's really hard because a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people hit you up and be like, yo, I want to start my own podcast and do that. But it's like the hardest thing is to garner an audience when you are starting with no audience. And so a lot of these people that are starting podcasts now, outside of like a Deontay Kyle, who is extremely talented and, you know, super eclectic in terms of just like getting his message out and like he's just streamlined thoughts. Like that is like unfiltered thoughts is something that's super, like I feel like untapped, and he's tapped it. But, you know, like starting a podcast, especially like a guest-based podcast, it's like it's so hard, and we make it look as easy as we can. And it's like, yeah,
it's something that I like wish I could like tell people. I'm like, yo, like the podcasting, especially because like now like podcasting has moved, A, become saturated, but then B, also moved away from being the meta, right? Like at one point podcasting was the meta, which is why everybody hopped on, right? Because they were like, yo, this is the easiest way to garner an audience, right?
Yeah.
But now knowing the landscape, like realistically, like I wouldn't start potting if I was like young and 21 and 22 and trying to just garner an audience and didn't care about the art form.
Yeah.
I would just go stream, or I would just go like be on Twitch like 24/7 and like figure it out from there, right? Like this shit is like no longer, and I'm actually kind of happy about that. Like I'm happy about that because I'm like, yo, get the bullshit out of here, right? Like let it be for the motherfuckers that really care about the art form and like do want a pod for real. Like I don't want to see your pod because you just want to talk, right? Or like go stream, right? I want to see you pod because you truly care about the conversations you're having and like the narratives that you're shaping. Like that is the only reason I want to see somebody pod. And I think we are getting there, right? I think
I think we, like us personally, I think we have that. We are full of substance. Every time somebody taps in, they're definitely leaving with something, a gem. Like that's what I always try to put. Shout out to Premium Pete, but he's always just like, you know, he became my mentor, but like he's always just like, he always told me, he's just like, hey, make sure when somebody taps in, they're leaving with something, because if you are consciously, purposely giving gems to people, then those gems will be the actual thing that grabs people to tell people about your thing. So if you're like, yo, you know, tap into this podcast because, you know, I learned this thing about like, you know, perseverance through blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, like it's an easier sell, because that's the thing with podcasting. And if you're trying to start a podcast or whatever, like if the hardest thing is to get more listeners, because podcasting it's long form. You're giving people an hour, like, or 45 to an hour, and you have a rotation. Like I read something once, it was like to get into somebody's rotation, you have to realize that like you're like their NBA team, they have their 5 podcasts. So how do you get into the 6-man, or how do you get into the rotation? And it's like, and you only get a couple chances before you get cycled in and out. So like, yes, we'll have somebody big, you know, you'll have like a Nimesh on, and then they'll hear you out. They'll tap into Gucci Turban, and then they'll be like, let me come back. Let me come back to Chai Time. And then and then it's like, yeah.
And I think that is an incredible example, because you're not even that NBA lineup. You're not even just competing against 5 podcasts. You're competing against 5 anything that takes you an hour to do.
Yeah.
Like I think about that all the time. I'm like, and to truly root it in gratitude, I'm like, damn, if somebody do listen to me for 45 to an hour, you chose that against Netflix.
Yep.
You chose that against Hulu. You chose that against Joe Budden. You chose that against whatever else that you could have been watching for an hour.
Or an album. You're fighting against music. Like
you're fighting against music. You're fighting against world news.
Yeah.
Like you're fighting against Trump press conferences at all times. Like I think about the shit that I consume when I'm not consuming like podcasts and shit like that. I'm like, yo, I'm consuming a billion different things.
Yeah.
And that's somebody who's just constantly consuming.
Yeah.
But somebody who time is limited because they work in like 8 hours, 9 hours a day, and it's not their job to listen to media.
Yeah.
Can I really blame you?
Nah.
I just got to be grateful for the ones that do take that hour out of their 5 to 9 p.m. that they have to like watch or like listen.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's just like when you think about it at that level, and you know, I'm always appreciative of anybody that even taps in, even for freaking 30 minutes or whatever. But like, it's also just like, how do you, and I had this guest on, shout out to Tara. This was played in my head ever since that episode. Where it's like, what really comes through is if you are of service. So I tell people I do this podcast because I want to add to the community. I don't want to just be this like, oh yeah, I'm part of the community, blah, blah, blah. Like, or I'm trying to like take away from something, and even that's even podcasting in general, like being part of the podcast community as well as a whole. Like that is something that people don't think about too much, but I like being of service. So if anybody ever asks me for any advice, I always give it to them. I'm straight up with them. Like, yo, this is not easy. This is going to take a lot of time. Like, you got to figure out your voice. You got to like, I'm always 100% because a lot of people will just not give you anything. And they'll just be like, I guess do it. Like, nah, I like being of service. If somebody taps in and they're like, yo, I learned this from you. I got this gem from you. It's gonna go with them longer. And I think we've lost that, and especially in like our like the world that we live in now. A lot of people are just worried about me, but it's never about like, oh, what about us, or what about our community? Oh, what about, the things that I'm interested in that you are interested in? Like, what about this conversation? Like, nobody's ever thinking 360 anymore. Everybody's just thinking about is number one right here.
I think about that all the time because I have like these like young boys that always hit me about like random shit, right? And I'm like, yo, like if I can make something a little bit easier for you, right? Mm-hmm. A little bit easier for you than it was for me. Mm-hmm. That's a dub.
Yeah.
That means that I struggled through it to at least learn something, and I can't go back in time and change the struggle that I went through to learn that lesson, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But at least I could look at you and be like, yo, I learned this lesson, take the game, keep it pushing further, right? Like otherwise it's a waste. It's like I already struggled through it.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I'm like it doesn't do anything. Now I'm watching you struggle through it. Like, what is the point of that, right? Like I didn't learn anything from it. You didn't gain anything from it. Mm-hmm. And I think that is, I'm glad that you brought up like the podcast ecosystem, right? I think that's something that is, people look at it as like a rat race or competition, right? Mm-hmm. But realistically, like we said, we're competing against not just podcasts,
yeah,
right? It's all content, all media.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you want to see somebody within your art form succeed, right? Yeah. Like the same way that like, again, like rap music is not just competing against like rap music, right? Mm-hmm. Like hip hop is not just competing against hip hop. Hip hop is competing against house, Afro, jazz, rock, right? Like you would want to see the people from your lane and niche be the ones to win. Because listen, that when the pie go that way, just even on a selfish level, you will benefit from that.
Yeah,
it doesn't benefit you if you're a podcaster and all media bags are going to like radio or TV. You want more media bags going to podcasting, no matter who's getting it.
Yeah,
because at least you there.
Exactly. That's it's so funny because, and I was gonna say this too because now you got me thinking about like, do you think that this is like maybe the immigrant way of like? Because I don't know if I feel like I've been in a lot of immigrant communities and everybody's always like, let's do this all together. And that's how I learned how to be together.
Yes, because it's an immigrant way, but it's also a class thing. When you have money, right? When you don't have to struggle, you don't need community. Yeah. So therefore you can just leave it behind because you think, oh, I'm protected because I got bread. But if you have nothing, it's like the typical like, yo, when my mom, my aunt, my other aunt, we all live a block away from each other.
Right, yeah.
Right? When somebody had something that the other person didn't, instead of just like, oh, how are we going to get to the store and go get it and all of that, walk down the block, go grab it. Because when they need something and we the ones that have it, then they're going to come down the block, grab it from us.
Yeah.
And that scarcity that comes from being an immigrant, that comes from not having, is something that truly builds community, right? Yeah. It's something as simple as sharing a Netflix password. Like you'll be surprised, and it is somewhat of an immigrant thing, right? Because I talk to like white people all the time, right? Where it's like, yo, their parents are like struggling, and they don't even know where their parents are or how their parents are being fed, and they have nobody to care for them, and their kid just left them there.
Yeah,
I would never hear that. You would never hear that from anybody that's brown or black. Like your parent like fucked up on the streets, and you just not there. I used to work with this dude, right? He used to wear a suit every day to work. I was like 16. I worked at Sears. And
shout out Sears, man.
shout out to Sears, bro. R.I.P. Sears. This dude paid for his like daughter's wedding. Like he like basically put out his 401k.
Yeah.
I asked my dad recently. I was like, "Yo, like, what's this dude up to?" And he's like, "Yo, he's homeless now in Ocean City." And I'm like, "Yo, doesn't he have like a daughter that he just paid for like the whole wedding?" He's like, "Yo, the daughter and her husband don't want him to stay with them."
The fuck?
I was like, I looked at my dad. I was like, listen, me and you may not be on the best of terms at all times, but just know I would never let you be homeless in Ocean City at McDonald's, right? But it broke my heart. I was like, bro, you got you have people, but again, if you grew up without that feeling of community, it's hard to replicate and like learn that.
Yeah.
I got a couple segments for you.
Yeah, hit me.
I got a couple segments for you. So we're gonna keep this on Haas. So we're gonna do quick kick picks.
Okay.
I'm gonna name some situations and scenarios, and you tell me what kick you would wear.
Okay.
All right. Quick kick picks. First date.
First date, probably something calm. Probably like bread fours. I'd do bread fours.
Okay. Running errands on a Sunday.
Running errands on a Sunday. Saucony, J-Tips to-do list.
Sneaker convention. You're there to just stunt on them.
Sneaker convention.
Out of your collection.
Out of my collection. And we're talking about sneaker convention now? Like now?
Yeah.
See, that's the problem. Nobody knows where, like, if I pull out some crazy shit, nobody's gonna be like, let's see. I'd probably have to wear my Dornbecker 8s.
Okay. Formal red carpet or wedding?
Ooh, that's a good one. All right. Formal red carpet. I have to go off white, so probably these. I'd rock these.
Formal?
Formal? Yeah.
I can see those.
Yeah.
I can see those.
Put a suit and that.
What do you think about that? I have like a boy that like his entire like company's premise is sneakers and suits together.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the name of that company?
I gotta tell you, damn, it's gonna piss me off that I don't. I'm gonna send it to you after because like he's out of Singapore. He's like super fly. He makes suits that are specifically tailored to sneakers.
That's fire. Because I'm gonna definitely need that.
Yeah.
I think if it's a good shoe, like I feel like a Jordan Low. Or like this is like a 5 is like bulky, but it's like you can still put a pant leg over it and it won't look as
crazy.
Yeah. So it would have to be like a slim or like just like a kind of wide on the front shoe. But overall in general, I think it works sometimes. I don't think it works all the time, but I also think like it can't just be like black tie affair and fucking metallic 5s. Like it has to be like
it has to make sense. I forgot who I think I saw when I was younger. I saw Ben Baller do it on the red carpet with the Space Jams, and I thought that
makes sense though. Yeah,
very like understated shoe. Like if you're wearing a black tux, right, it just flow right into the sneaker, right? Yeah. I thought it was like a beautiful look, and I was like, damn, I wish I could pull this off, right? My mom talked me out of it. On my cousin's wedding, I really wanted to put on these Air Max 97s that had the sale colorway. It was pastel, all of that. And my mom was like, yo, please, dog.
Please don't. I got a presentation I got to do. And my boss was like, so what sneakers are you going to wear with your suit? And I was just like, oh, I got it like that? So
the brand is strong. The brand is strong. All right, let's do King of the Hill. I'm going to name sneakers. Okay. You're going to pick them. All right, Space Jams or Travis Scott Mochas?
You picked two shoes I don't like. Travis Scott Mochas.
Wait, you don't like the Space Jams?
I hate 11s.
Okay. Travis Scott Mochas, Brett 11s.
My God, bro. Mochas.
Mochas, Fragments.
Fragments.
Okay. Fragments, Red Octobers.
Fragments.
Fragments, Concords.
Fragments. I hate 11s. You got mad 11s on here.
Okay. Fragments, Chicago 1s.
I'm a blue guy, so fragments.
Fragments or UNC ones?
UNC ones.
UNC ones, Syracuse?
Oh, no, I'm confusing UNC off-white ones. No, fragments still.
Still fragments?
Yeah.
But the UNC has the suede and then the blue.
Nah, I like them, but nah.
Fragments for this is the Syracuse?
Syracuse what?
Shatter backwards?
Oh, the shatter backboards? I'm not a big shatter backboard guy, so we're going fragments.
Fragments?
Yeah.
If I had to pick a sneaker that would have taken this off, what would it have been?
You got to pick a Dunk. Like, you got to pick a SB. I'm an SB guy, remember? So like that, or like Off-White. If you were like UNC Off-Whites, yes. Chicago Off-Whites, yes. Any of the top 10s I probably would have picked over that. Or like SBs, if you did like Tiffany's, you did Pigeons, like even Panda Pigeons. Like I would have done that over that.
Really?
Yeah.
Over the fragment?
Yeah. Like ones are cool. I like fragments. The only reason I like fragments is because it's like a subtle, and it's better leather, but it's like a subtle subtle royal blue.
Royal blue.
Yeah.
So what is your Mount Rushmore of sneakers?
My Mount Rushmore sneakers is Orchard Street Dunks, Floms SBs, Huff High SBs, Tweed SBs, and what's the name of that? Stash Air Force Ones.
These are all owns?
I only have 2 out of the 3. 2 out of the 5. I put 5. There's 5 heads on Mount Rushmore?
Four.
So I add one extra.
Oh, one extra.
So I only have Tweed SBs.
So given the opportunity, you would crop those right now?
Which ones?
Any of your Mount Rushmores?
Yeah, but the rest of those, like Orchard Street Dunks, are the minimum I've seen them go for $15K. The Flom SBs, I think it was $50K for that last time, because there's only several pairs, and then I'm a size 13, so there's only like 2 pairs still in good condition or something like that. Of those.
Is the rarity really like that?
On those, yeah. But not like in terms of just like if it means more to me. Like that's just one of those shoes where I look at them, like I think about it for like a month or so, where I'm just like, damn, that's crazy. Yo, like if I held it in my hand, I'd be like, yo, the detail on that is insane. Like those are 2 shoes that I would be like that. The Tweed SBs, I bought them and I still look at them like that. But the reason why it's a grail for me is because my favorite rapper wore them in his booklet for one of my favorite albums that he's done, well, EPs that he's done. And I saw those and I was just like, I gotta get them. Which
album?
A$AP Rock, Food, Clothes, Medicine.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a big A$AP Rock guy.
Big A$AP.
And so he's my favorite rapper of all time, and I wasn't able to get his sneaker because he dropped a sneaker with Adidas a long time ago. And I remember seeing that he wore those shoes in that booklet, and I was like, I gotta get him. So I found him on eBay for like $150.
What do you think about, because you brought up like a collaboration with somebody that's not Nike, right? What do you think about like Nike's role inside like sneaker culture, and whether their time has kind of passed?
Their time will never pass. And it's probably part of the problem. I think Nike really runs the game and everybody's playing catch up, right?
You think still today?
Still today. Like Adidas Yeezy had a chance until Yeezy just jumped right off whatever bridge you want to call it. But they were because you got to look at it like this, right? When it comes to like DSW or like what the normies are wearing is what I'm gonna say. Sorry.
No, that's right.
But we, the 1% of sneaker culture, dictate how everything else kind of like gets shared, you know? Because if we're like, yo, this new whatever collab is coming out with such and such, yo, this is hot, right? We sell that out, and everybody else gets the variations of it because they're flipping that color 7 different times or over like 7 different models. And then when one of those go crazy, right? Say if like an Air Force that took over, like an Air Force, they dropped the Air Force High in a shattered backboard colorway because the shattered backboard sold out, then that Air Force One is going to take its place. And then they'll go down one more and do a takedown of the Air Force, put that colorway on another shoe, and they'll hit DSW or like Marshalls. And then now everybody's been able to wear that color. So there's no other brand that does that. Like they're the trickle down of like, all right, we got the hype, we got the regular, we got the poors. I don't mean to say it like
No.
that. But we got the people that can't afford the sneakers that are like the regular price sneakers.
That's so interesting because it really is kind of like how even high fashion works, right? Like high luxury fashion designers like design something and then it's basically like ripped 80 different ways until it reaches your Zara's or H&M's. And like that's like the final version of whatever was designer like 8 months ago.
Yeah. So that doesn't work for any other brand. Think about it. Like if you go to Adidas, or if you go to Burlington Co Factory, right? Burlington Co Factory and Marshalls. The Adidases that are their main Adidases are at Burlington Co Factory. But if you go to Marshalls and you see a Nike, it's always like a size 18 of like something hot. But then it's like, oh, why is there like 6 different colors of this like random Nike Fly Court or whatever? They're just random name. And it's because they are trying to still sell that color to people if they're not able to sell the hyped color, you know? They're not able to this hype model.
That's when it ends up at your Marshalls because they're buying it wholesale from shit that isn't like moving at a regular distributor.
Yeah.
That's interesting because like I look, there is like a lot of conversations based off of like Nike stock going down, just based off of like other competitors coming up, basketball players now signing different deals with like your Adidas's, right? Like your Pumas.
Yeah.
And I think that's why like a lot of the conversation around like Nike as like a general consumer, you're like wondering like, is Nike going to be the thing? But I think like ultimately like Jordan still outsell anything else on the market for the last like 50 years, right?
Exactly. Like the perception, it's funny because every time I've seen people talk about like Nike stock going down and this and that, like it's funny to me because unless I feel like we shouldn't be talking about it unless we're like like we bought stock in it. Like I don't care. Like like sure it should go down. So that means I'm gonna get more sneakers. Like that's how I'm thinking about it because I'm just like, oh, they're trying to rekindle the fire. That means that's good for me. That means I'm gonna get more colorways. I'm gonna get more models that I'm trying to find and trying to get. But the full 360 view of it where it's just like, oh, you know, Nike's missing out on this sports person or this person. It's just like, that's fine. They still got the hottest. They still gonna get the main superstars. If they just miss out on, you know, older James Harden, it's just like, okay, like, you know, they brought back Kobe's, like. It's still, And
I think like just having that back catalog too of just being able to bring shit back is like, because every time they bring something back, like when they redid the Chicago ones, right? Like 2 years ago, a year ago, right?
2021, I think it was.
2020.
Yeah.
It still moved.
It went crazy. Like it
still moved, right? Like, and then when they flip it and just do like the reverse, it's still gonna move.
Yeah. Even the unions, which I was gonna wear today too, but I didn't. But the unions were like half Chicago, half shadows, and I was just like, yeah, you got me on that one because I don't have any Chicagos. I might as well.
It's interesting, right? And like I am curious how that kind of shapes out, right? Because I think about like just culture, right? The next like 25, 30 years, right?
Yeah.
And will we still physically and tangibly care? Like, I really wonder, like, are the 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds right now, like, are they like combing through? Like, do you think that there's emerging sneaker? Like, you be at a lot of these conventions. Are there like emerging?
I'm never at any of the conventions, but I try to make sure to have the conversations with younger sneakerheads because I'm really big on bridging that gap. This year, with my podcast, I've been really intentional about culture. Because I think we live in a world now where the internet homogenized everything. So everybody thinks everything is culture and we don't really section off things anymore. Like nobody's really taking that trek to go to Roosevelt and experience the different types of food. They're just being like, yo, you want Indian food? All right, let's go to Indian food. But you're not be like, yo, I want to get Pakistani food. Like, you know, there's no real like embracing of culture. And so I've been really intentional with the guests that I've had on and asking them about it because if a kid finds this, if a kids find my podcast, I'm like, yo, this is what sneaker culture really is. Like, this is what people see it in their eyes and their lived and learned experiences because I do feel like they don't know what it is. Like, and I'm not discrediting anybody or any younger person that's watching this of whatever your current culture is. Like, I know it's a lot of A6. I know it's a lot of runners and stuff like that. And whatever these YNs are wearing, like that's like all good and well. But it's also just like, when there are people that break past that first initial layer, because there's always that, like, this is one thing that got me into sneakers. Now you got to figure out, do I want to be really into sneakers? And that's where I want to step in, where it's just like, there's more to this than that. Like, and let me show you the way, because the way I grew up, I ain't have that. I literally was on Google, on forums, and being like, trying to figure out, who's Stash? Oh my God. Like, I was like trying to figure out more about culture. And I don't think we live in a world where people are curious anymore. And that is because of the homogenization of stuff.
But I think that's amazingly said, right? I think that the curators in specific niches are so important, I think, the next 5 years, because they will be the ones that curious soul will go down the path on a much deeper level, rather than going to 8 different forums. It's, I am now tapped into you. Show me the way.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a guy on Reddit. All he does, I had to unlace all my shit recently, right? All he does is laces. Like different ways to lace, like how, like, and when you see his Reddit thread, it's a tapped in audience. Like a tapped in audience that is like, this is my go-to person for anything laces. And I'm like, when people say like, oh, your niche down too small, I'm like, this motherfucker is just talking about laces.
And that's beautiful though.
That's beautiful, because that means that there is an entire section and community throughout the world that cares to know this piece of information, and here you have it given to them in a palatable way, and in a way that clearly garnered audience.
And that's, I think we need to bring that back to the younger generation of that, because a lot of these kids are really just kind of buying in on streaming a lot, and instead of like finding themselves, they're just like, I mean, this is literally full circle of what we're talking about, where I'm just like, a lot of these people are trying to live life through other people, like letting other people live their lives. And so it does cut off the curiosity part of like, you wouldn't have found that without you actually trying to do that. But some people are just being like, I'm gonna wait till you find that for me. And so I think we live in that world. And so, to go back to your question, in 10 years, if we do, it just depends on the way culture goes. Because the way the culture curators and the culture cultivators, which I call myself a culture cultivator, is more of just like, when do we get to the point that we are on the stage to get in front of these people? And so that's why I rely on my like back catalog, or like, if people find me, and I always treat it as like, this is the first time they probably tapped into something like this. I treat every episode like it's the first episode. And so that would be like, okay, now I can go back and check out all these stories. And so that's me doing my part, because of me being of service and me being a culture curator and cultivator, that I'm trying to make sure that every time somebody comes in and they're curious about sneakers, that it does make them more curious about sneakers, and then make them go backwards. And so that's me being curious, hopefully fueling more curiosity.
It's fanning the flame for sure.
Yeah. And so we need to keep making that kind of like the snowball that the younger generation can feed onto.
Absolutely has. I end every pod with a segment called Call Your Shot. The idea being, next 3 years, 5 years, whatever timeline that you want to lay out for yourself, something that you will do. The idea being, when you do it, I could clip this up, send it over to you, put it next to the whole announcement. So call your shot.
Look, I've been thinking about this for a hot minute. And so I'm going to call my shot. I'm going to make my podcast sustainable, and I'm going to quit my job. So
soon?
3 years.
My guy, appreciate you doing this.
Appreciate you, man.
Bro, this was fun. We gotta run this back for sure.
For sure. We do part 2.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for listening. Peace.